Hello guys, today is Monday 14th of September and today I wanted to talk about a martial arts topic which is cropping up time and time again when you talk to people from Aikido, from other traditional martial arts, and also, to be honest, which seems to be quite often misunderstood also by people who do the practical martial arts. Okay, and that topic is sparring. Okay, so whenever you people talk about sparring with aikidokas, you can hear the aikidokas proudly go, well, there is no sparring in aikido because the founder of aikido was against competitions. Bullshit. Okay, just BS. And this is a BS which has been propagated quite often, and it comes from the point of view, I think, that many people do not understand what sparring actually is and what competition actually is. So when we talk about people talking no competition, it means you don't go and fight for money or fight for, like, if you win this competition, you get a golden Olympic medal or things like this. Right? Sparring is not that, but there is a big misunderstanding in sparring. Also, I have met in my times overalling with people in different gyms. Okay, so ever since I moved to Germany, not as often as I should have, and definitely not as often as I'd like to, but I have to admit, me having been slightly lazy, I have rolled in a number of MMA/BJJ gyms. Right, I would come for their open mat session. So the one I frequented in Stuttgart, which was the Impacted team, you can look them up online. Really nice, a bunch of nice, friendly guys. I've learned quite a bit from them. I've rolled within Fenzier's gym in Berlin, and I also rolled within IMAG gym in Berlin. So I didn't do as often as I should have. I didn't really go there to practice any martial arts they teach, but I would turn up there for an open mat session and I would come in, and I admit to being a bit of a kind of, I'm an asshole, I'm doing an Aikido, so I'm gonna stick to my Aikido. I'm not interested in learning BJJ or other things, as I call it, Gracie wrestling, but I'm interested in having that interaction with you guys where I can train my stuff and you will have a slightly different type of person rolling with you, kind of trying and doing different things, so you can do and try different things against somebody who fights with a different mindset. And that's the way I rolled with them. And I found that as well quite sometimes with people who do Gracie wrestling, who do judo, right? And it's really kind of at a particular level. So quite often if you spar with a black belt, the black belt is not as inclined to just win the fight. Whereas if you roll with somebody who still feels they have something to prove, like as one of the guys I was rolling with is like, it's all about the win, it's all about winning this competition, when sparring is not. As a matter of fact, if you look at Aikido, if you look at Judo, for example, if you look at Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, there is an idea of a randori, which is essentially kind of seems to be our idea of Western idea of sparring or Gracie wrestling, or the idea of rolling from Gracie wrestling. So this is something you do which is like you don't always do it at full speed. You can always say, hey, can we go a bit easier? And it's not about the win, whereas the less experienced fighters, they think, oh, it's all about the win. You probably need to go through that stage, but it's not. It's about having that close to realistic representation of things that might happen, but doing it in a controlled environment where you can say, hey, okay, I lost, where you don't even always have to go through an entire thing. You can just go, okay, cool, can we reset? This is a place where you practice your practical skill in a safe environment. That's not a competition. This is not the place where you go, look, I've got to win. If this is how you treat rolling, sparring, or randori, you're doing it, to be honest, wrong. And the thing is like doing Aikido, really loving Aikido. I've been telling like lately that look, we need to change the way Aikido is taught, not the techniques, but the way it's taught. And I was watching a channel by Christopher Hine, very interesting Aikido ideas, and the same thing pops up. There's no sparring in Aikido because it's competitive. No, it's not. Just know this fallacy of sparring as a competition must really stop. Okay? It's not a competition. We really should stop treating it as something that we have to win. Just to give you an example, when I was rolling in Stuttgart with the guys from Impacted team, I was rolling a lot with people from BJJ, Gracie wrestling background, and when we would do lots of stuff, because at the time I was rolling with no gi, so if they did any techniques against my hands, they had to actually grab me, and I would use some basic Aikido techniques to get out of it, and they would also say to me that, look man, once you start doing this and once we see this going, we will let go straight away, because we know that it goes for the block or something like this, which is from a practical point of view is not quite correct, because as soon as you let go, the Aikido practices would tell you that if you let you go, you strike. So somebody grabbed your hand to stop you from striking and you get out so that you can strike them again. If they let go, it comes with a strike, and that's something I mentioned to them. But one thing I said to them is, look guys, I don't come here to practice this clever stuff. I'm not bothered about it. And I explained to them that during Aikido training I felt the lack of the basic footwork training, basic position training, basic moving training, this kind of stuff. And I was explaining to them, so that was I was going for. And when we were chatting, I was like, look, I don't bother about throwing you with some clever stuff. When I come here, I'm not here for this. I'm come here to spar with you so that I can work on my very basic like evasion, kind of get the position, maybe then use it to put you down and then do something, but it's not something clever. So I might actually put you down and just step away, because these are my targets. So when you come into sparring, there are certain things you're looking to work on. And they were like, wow, we didn't look at this. What was the result of this going and rolling with them over just going to Aikido? Well, as I rolled with them, at some point of time I came across somebody who did both judo and BJJ. And as we started rolling, as he was trying to do judo techniques and things like this, by doing the basic Aikido transitions, I would always end up in a position where he would not be able to throw me. Okay, I would always end up in a position where I was in a more aggressive position, so I had more control over the things he's done. Or at the very least, I was in a safe position where he had to reset his options, to open his options again, so he had to drop me. All right, and we were like talking with him, he said, look, your basics seem to be really, really good, you know, I'm really struggling of getting to you. But this came with a few months of coming in like a couple of times a month, so it wasn't like coming there every day, but couple of times a month, and spending a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours, training with the guys, where they would try to take me down, whether it would be on the ground, moving on my knees, or whether it will be in a stand-up, moving on my feet, but only training the basics. And yet, we were sparring. It was not about, I have to win. Right? As a result, when I came to Berlin, like, you know, I worked on this a bit more. I started to try to include some techniques. And the last time I rolled, I could feel that I can be more assertive in the way I do things, and actually managed even to do a couple of throws against a blue belts, BJJ practitioners. It didn't all work out perfectly, but it did. But all my aim of sparring was just that. It was never any super clever techniques. Right? As you progress, your sparring goes to higher levels. You can increase the speed of sparring, for example. Again, a very great example of sparring is in sword fighting. So if anybody have done HEMA ever, there is an idea of half speed. So you go into a sparring match, right? You put on your masks, you take out your swords, but instead of going like, I'm just gonna beat him like with the sword as hard as I can, you go at half speed, right? And you're trying to go through transitions. So yeah, you have attacks, you have defenses, great, but you also have the time to stand there and think, okay, he's going here, there's probably this and this, or maybe I've got to do this, something different, you know. It's like you have time to actually try other things. And yes, maybe it's not as close to real combat as it gets, but after half speed, you get to go to a full speed, right? And this changes everything. So, but for example, if you watch, I have a video on my channel of me going against an expert broadsword fighter. And we start from half speed, and for about half the video, we actually going pretty slow. It's still quite fast, but it's pretty slow, because the second half of the video, it's like boom, 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 done, you know. And that's the thing, is like, that's the sparring. It's not just about winning. It's about trying other things. It's about being introduced to other things. So if you do Aikido, it might be a good idea to go and spar against boxer to understand how boxing works, right? The boxers are not gonna kill you, okay, during the sparring session. Especially if you say, hey, can we just go a light kind of speed sparring so that we can just train things and understand how things work. Same thing goes for like Gracie wrestling people, right? They aren't gonna kill you, but it's a good idea to go against them because they have a very different mindset. But can we please stop saying that sparring is competition? It's not. Okay, this is some place where you learn, yes, close to real environment, yes, close to real speed, yes, you get taken down, but especially for Aikidokas who go on like, Oh, it's not about the ego, and then they go on and really feel like we're not gonna go spar with them just in case we lose. Right? Sorry guys, BS. Okay, can we stop this BS? Can we stop this BS of comparing sparring to fighting? It's not. Follows completely different aims, uses completely different tactics, and completely used for, I say, completely different reasons. Right? You don't need to compete. You can enjoy sparring. You can have fun with people. You can have experience exchange with people. Personally, I started sparring with people all the way when I was starting to do martial arts, which was all the way when I was 6 years old. And I sparred with people when I did wushu. I sparred with people when I did aikido. Okay, I sparred with people when I did sword fighting. I sparred with people with pretty much every martial art existent. I won, I lost, I've picked something up from them. I picked bigger understanding of how Aikido works from being introduced to the way other martial arts do things. It expanded my ideas. And this is what sparring is for. Right? It's not just about winning, it's about practicing. I hope that helps. I hope it changes the minds of people on going and meeting other martial arts for sparring rather than for competition. Okay, whether you do Aikido, whether you do MMA, it's not about proving who's got the bigger testiculars. It's about making that connection. So thank you very much. Get out, don't do things I do, actually train. I'm hoping I'm gonna get back into training soon enough, but not making any promises just yet. Thank you very much. Goodbye.